I'm here at Southern Buoy Studios, and I'm amongst 50 or so paintings who are all finalists in the Landscape Prize here. And these are paintings that have been selected out of a larger group of paintings, and I've been charged with choosing a finalist and a couple of highly commended paintings, something that I really enjoy doing. And when I'm doing it, I'm thinking often of, not often, but I'm thinking this time of Carl Sagan, and what he said was that here we are, you know, we're tiny, infinitesimal little beings on a planet, you know, we're just absolutely irrelevant in a huge and vast cosmos, and in order for us to have that be bearable, we need to have communication, and one of the best forms of communication, of course, is art. And there's plenty of it going on here, and in my opinion, if a painting is going to be able to communicate to you clearly, then that is part of what gives the painting the merit that it needs to win or be commended in an art prize like this. All of these paintings are talking to me, some of them more clearly than others. Painting behind me, Schunker. One thinks of American abstract expressionism. There's a broad brush, there's some playful brushstrokes, and there's of course that pink and grey that reminds me, at least, of Philip Guston, one of the great American abstract expressionists. And is that a thumb perhaps there, which Philip Guston was very famous for applying to a lot of his paintings. There is of course a missing light bulb, but the other thing that is maybe missing is what one might expect of a landscape painting, which is that it should resemble a landscape. There's a horizon perhaps, but we have to remember that a landscape can be not only something that we're in, but it can be something that we feel, or something that somehow makes us feel in a particular way, and I think this painting does a very good job of that. Brett brings a very, very close inspection to a view that he's no doubt very fond of, a place he likes being, and he also brings us what Robert Hughes refers to as the spectacle of skill. It certainly has a lot of skill about it, and the highlights are beautiful, and the view is very, very, very closely inspected. He must have some very small brushes, and he must be a very patient man. And the result is something that a lot of people enjoy in landscape painting. We're very firmly located in the place that he wants us to have a look at, and we get a good look at it. Lauren Guymer, once again, behind me. A watercolour on paper, and as is the nature of watercolours, it is just absolutely full of air. It is very, very breezy. It's not recklessly, but neither recklessly nor incautiously made. But I think what's interesting to me about this picture is the amount of air that's actually in the painting. In fact, there's so much air that it's almost fragrant. I can almost smell it, you know. And that's a great way of getting a landscape across, is to add some fragrance, if you like, because that's part of what standing in a landscape is about. Colin Hyatt, a local scene, I think, and it's interesting that when you look at a landscape, it'll bring you all sorts of things. We've spoken about the feeling of the landscape, and we've spoken about having a very close inspection of it and the smell of it, and those sorts of things. But with Colin, we've got the weather, you know, and he's brought the weather into this painting in a really terrific way. I wonder whether or not it's a day we're going to enjoy. It's one of those days where you think it might fine up or it might not, you know, but it's definitely weather drenched, I would say, and I like it for that reason. Brett Jackson, Brett, like Amanda Schunker, brings an abstract approach to landscape. A bit more English than American abstract expressionism, but that's the way Brett likes to do things. And it's a terrific picture actually, but what it's bringing mostly is a kind of a feeling, the way he feels about landscape, and maybe even beyond that, the way he feels about what's happening to the landscape, because there are some very unpleasant feelings going on in here as well as some very enthusiastic ones. There's a bit of darkness, a bit of foreboding, and perhaps that's what Brett is worried about when it comes to the landscape around him, that it's under some kind of threat. Sam Sutty. I like this little painting for two reasons. One, I was immediately attracted to it because I once climbed a cliff on an ocean road like that as it got dark and the rain came in. It was a bit like the Guns of Navarone, you know, and I've never forgotten it. Not that this picture has anything to do with that, but it is a kind of a cruise along an ocean road on a fairly pleasant day, or maybe a walk. And then there's the scale. It's kind of it's a lovely thing to see a picture of such a big subject at such a modest size, and it's what I call a library painting, and is something that would fit on a shelf nicely amongst other thoughtful things, thoughtful books, maybe photographs, and something that belongs in an environment like that, just to remind us that the landscape or the seascape or a match of the two is part of what we really need in our lives. I'd like to highly commend a couple of paintings. Brett Pearce, the painting that I spoke about, which is a very close and intimate view of a creek, and Brett Jackson for the excitement that it brings to the room, I think. And it might be obvious that I'm going to award the prize to Amanda Schunker for her terrific painting, and I'm very happy to do so, mind you. And that's the prize, folks.